Yo, what's up, everybody? This is Richie The Barber Show. We got Mark Harley. We got Alex Stine. Woo! Yeah. All right. First question here. What's up, brother?
Richie, I'm a big fan. I follow your Instagram. I want you to cut my hair. I want you to, lead my Bible study. I want to hang out. I need to go to Huntington Beach. It's God's country. It sucks what's happening to California, though. Has it affected your neighborhood? Like, is Huntington Beach bad with the homeless and stuff?
Dude, I want to cut your hair, bro. I really do. I want to cut your hair.
I got to get it cut. I got this mop on my head. You got to come cut it. But tell me, what's Huntington Beach like? I know you go to the church there. That church looks badass.
Yeah. So, the homeless problem is crazy. We do feed the homeless out there. We're trying to help them out. We're sponsored by vans. We pass out free vans to the homeless. It gets kind of crazy. They want to sometimes be like, what? Like, we want to fight us and all this stuff. It is crazy, bro. More and more homeless every single day. It's nuts, bro. What do you feel about the homeless?
Well, dude, this is the problem is most of the homeless vets, a lot of the homeless people are veterans, and that's what makes me mad the most. It's like, listen, I understand a person can be homeless because they have a lot of bad situations, but we actually are helping more immigrants when they come across the southern border than we are actually helping our own, military veterans. So that's what makes me mad. And honestly, it's the drug problem. When we have a border that's wide open with as much fentanyl as coming through, I was telling you a little bit before the interview, one of my good friends, a guy named Clark Gable, his grandfather was the actor Clark Gable.
I used to live in his house. Wilton. I lived in his house. I was in there.
Dude was the host of this show I worked on called Cheaters. And long story short, he ended up dying he had a huge drug tolerance. He partied hard, right? He grew up in Hollywood, grew up in that lifestyle. He had a doctor in California that gave him like a doc in the box that gave him prescription pills. He ran out while he was in Dallas and he bought some pain pills that had fentanyl in it and took it and just woke up dead. I'm just saying, went to bed, never woke up. And he had a high tolerance. Yes, he had a high tolerance. And so a little bit about my story is he died. I was one of the producers for that show. They said, Alex, you're going to be the next host. Because I knew the show backwards and forwards. And what they did is they hired a black dude, a really nice guy named Peter Guns, because he's kind of more of the, the general demographic of the show is kind of like middle-aged African-American. So he kind of fit the demographic better. So I lost that job and I was so mad because I was just like Clark, I was young. I was like 30. I was like, I'm going to make $100,000. I'm saying I'm going to be so rich. And then they freaking didn't hire me, asked me to work there. I said, I quit. And that's when I started my own podcast. And that's why I'm on the show with you and Mark Harley kicking butt.
Yeah, Mark Harley. Oh, speak to me. Here he goes. There we go.
Yo.
Forget Richie. I love Richie. So good. But dude, you are on fire right now. I have to say your content is my favorite thing. And like, I got to be honest, I actually don't even hate Brendan. Like, I know he's kind of some bad stuff to you or this and that. I know this little beat.
And neither do I, by the way. A lot of people have been accusing me kind of like being emotional about this. Like I processed all my emotions and then I made the decision to kind of speak about my experience. I don't feel like bitter or angry or think or hate him, but he is what he is. He's
a goofball, but I'm kind of cringe. Brendan's cringe, and I love TFA, or what is it? The Fighter and the Kid, the guy that's on YouTube that helped your page. Now you have more. You got more subscribers in one video from that than Brendan did with Thick Boy Studios. That just shows you, dude. What does that say?
You are, what I love about this is, a lot of the inside baseball of what's going on, because a lot of people will ask me, like, I'll get messages right now, like, what happened with you and Brenda? I'm like, I can't fucking discuss it from the beginning, right? You either know it or you don't, you're either paying attention or not. And, one of the differences that I'll describe between you and Brendan is you seem honest.
Well, I think I try to be very genuine, but I mean, I do a lot of cringe stuff. Well, yeah. And I think Brendan does like lie and stuff, but the homeless cats, this is my point. There's like content creators that I hate watch. And so a lot of those people in the subreddit, they're hate watching. So they're unironically fans, I mean,
right.
In a weird way.
That's true. And I think that, you have to be aware of why somebody's compelling. It's okay to hate watch somebody, but you have to be honest with yourself about why it's compelling. And I've come to the determination that people, a lot of the times they watch Brendan because he contradicts himself so much, and like a big part of it, not everything. And I think he has expertise in MMA as a guy who fought in that world, and he is a legitimate, he headlines and he does what. So it's like, I'm not even trying to take away from those things and saying like he shouldn't do comedy, but I've come to realize the reason, it wasn't clear to me at first, but the reason that he has built up this following of hate watchers is because he contradicts himself so much. He'll change stories. He'll exaggerate. Almost everything that comes out of his mouth is like at minimum an exaggeration. And so people watch to catch him in the next kind of lie or the next, slip up where he says something contradictory. He says the same story, but it has different details than the last time he posted it. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you, and I think this also kind of differentiates you from Brendan as a content creator, because
all right, here we go.
One of my critiques of him now that I'm outside the situation is I don't think he goes deep with his comedy, and he kind of goes for the easy thing, like the dick joke or the insult or the something more surface level. And I think it would serve him well to actually self-reflect and go deeper. I'm honestly not sure if he's capable of that, but when I look at what you do, and my first experience seeing you that I know of, because there might have been other times where I didn't realize it was you, but was that Vegas town hall meeting. And I was genuinely, you did such a good job that I was taken in by it. I'm like, oh, this guy's assigned to, like, what? And then it kind of becomes clear later. But like, to me, that was so original, and all the details that you came up with, like, I would honestly consider you an artist who has a purpose, because you're not just a prankster, right? You're not, what I always didn't like about YouTube pranksters is like, okay, go to the hood and call some dude an N-word and get a reaction. That's cheap, and that's also kind of punching down in a lot of ways. You are, to me at least, you look like you're going about your pranks and your public performances in a principled way where you're going, I'm going to get a reaction for a purpose. Is that how you think of yourself?
Yeah, well, I really actually appreciate that, Mark. And that's why I'm telling you, dude, and I'm not just trying to kiss your butt. I think you've even been even more insightful. And I really didn't watch the Haters Will Say podcast. Now I want to go back and watch your podcast, because now that I watch it, I'm like, wow, Mark's like really well adjusted and well spoken. You take care of yourself, so you're disciplined. So, and I'm not even trying to kiss your butt, but it's funny how insightful you are. And I kind of threw it off because I was like, oh, they call him Big Gay Lion because you're buff and you're big, but really you're actually a very smart guy. It's just funny how that veneer, but dude, you can tell with me, it's like, honestly, I like to make fun. I like dick jokes. I love all that stuff. Howard Stern. I love the baloney on the butts, all that old school stuff.
Yeah.
But dude, we have to have a message. I try to have some sort of underlying message and try to have some sort of like cultural theme to whatever I'm talking about. So I like appreciate you saying that. And this is, we're not going to keep talking about Brendan, but this is, I had to get out. This is different between me and Brendan. This is just real quick, then we can stop talking about him. Is in my comedy, you said it's very nuanced. Brendan told a story that I couldn't even tell. I couldn't even make up a story when he said the story that he worked at a grocery store and that he tore up all the magazines and then he blamed it on an autistic person. I'm saying, if I was to say that in a town hall, if I was to say it, right, they wouldn't believe it. They would say, this is impossible. Nobody would ever damage stuff and then blame it on a special.
You're exactly right.
Nobody would believe it.
And so when he's the villain in a story, and that's one of these things that I think kind of showcases his narcissism, is he will expect to be perceived as like the victim or the good guy in a story, like the classic, he gadooshed his roommate through a glass door because, but it's like, hey, you're the asshole.
He ate his food. He threw him to a plate glass because he ate all of his food.
Right. It's like you ate your roommate's food and now you're attacking him? Like, but in his mind, that's a funny story. But everything, the pattern there is, you notice everything is about how other people are stupid, crazy, incompetent. And he's just the normal guy living his life. So, your willingness to make yourself the butt of the joke, even as a character, I think is like not only impressive, but it's so fundamental to comedy to me. And I know one of your inspirations is Andy Kaufman. And I think like that the spirit of what you do is reminiscent of that, because if someone were to take you literally in these town hall meetings, you're going, I got cucked and I got tricked by a transgender prostitute. And like most people wouldn't even go on a stage during a play and say those words. You know what I mean? Like, so there's an inherent kind of ballsiness to what you do. But as I said, I think it's united by like even the big booty Latina thing. One of the things I thought about when I first heard that, I'm like, no way, somebody called AOC a big, but then when you watch the video of it, you're just going, hey, I'm getting your attention. And then you're doing something, right?
I have to break the news. I'm breaking it here. CNBC reporter, I'm going to hold it. I just filed a lawsuit against her. And this is all I'm asking is for her to unblock me, right? We just filed in DC. She's blocked me on Twitter. Right. And now CNBC, they reached out immediately. I don't even want any of her money, but it's funny. Yeah. This is one thing. And this is why, Mark, I want to create content with you, and not just content where you could obviously do some city council, but there'd be so much stuff. And I have a really good idea, like a super viral video I want to tell you off camera that I'm going to tell you about, that is it would blow up the internet if we go and do it. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. But long story short, it's like these politicians, the reason why I've even been successful, the reason why you know me, the reason why I'm even like of somebody is because these politicians all have very thin skin. Yeah. So if you just really call them out, because they're just like you and me, they have the same problems. Some of them have credit card debt, can't even afford an apartment there. So you're like, I'm just saying, we all have money problems. We all have family issues. We all have relationship issues. The same with these politicians. So when you call them out, they're so used to getting their butt kicked. They just melt like flowers. Yeah. I mean, melt like they wilt like a flower, just so weakly. So it's just funny how anybody. Exactly, and you can call people out. I mean, Richie, you can call people out. It's just a question for you. Get back over here. I got a question for you. Hey, what do you think about, or what is your pronouns? What my pronouns are? Well, I'm gender fluid. I've always that's another thing is they want to call me transphobic. No, see, Richie, I know you're a young Christian man now, and I know they say not a man not to put on a dress. Dude, I'm gender fluid. I'm non-binary. I want to be Alexandria one day. I want to have some man pawns.
Hey, I love you.
I don't care. I just want to ask, what are your pronouns? Hey.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of these people want to say, oh, Alex, you're transphobic because I put on a bathing suit and I made fun of Leah Thomas in a city council meeting. Now, what I don't think is I don't think biological men should be able to swim on the men's team for 3 years and then get to say, oh, well, you know what? I took some hormone therapy for 6 months. Now let me go be the 357th ranked male to winning multiple championships in the female division. Like, that is what I don't like. That's what I don't stand for. And that's why, and dude, this is what I also don't like. I have gay family members, gay friends. I never want to be considered homophobic, but this is what I don't understand. The only difference between a gay man and a straight man, society says, is our sexual preference. That's what they say. That's the only thing that's a gay man and a straight man. That's what they say, according to science. Yet, why do we have to put so many pride flags in elementary schools? Why are we celebrating people's sexual orientation? I'm saying the pride. Hey, I got a daughter. I don't want any of that stuff in there. I don't want my daughter she's too young to know all that stuff. I just want her to go to school and graduate. I don't want her to know about, the sex and, hey, what is this? What is that? I just got a book. I was just in Idaho speaking at this like Republican event, and they consider me Republican. I'm anti-establishment. I'm like Eddie Bravo. I think the government's lying. There's the right wing, the left wing are the same bird. It's just going to crash through a freaking wall or window any minute. So I'm really anti-government, but they say, oh, you're conservative because I'm very pro-life. My parents weren't married when they had me, and they very easily could have had an abortion, and they didn't. And I'm so lucky. I think that, and I know there's a lot of people that had abortion. I don't even think that, you're necessarily a bad person. People make that decision, but an abortion should be illegal in my opinion. And I've had friends I know that have gotten them and I still love and respect them, but it's just, for me, the life is the most important thing.
You there? Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Sorry. It went out.
Cut out. Say it one more time. You said you don't think the abortion.
Like, listen, I just hate abortion is one of the, they say, oh, I'm right wing because I don't like abortion. I do believe it's a life, and I know there's people that have had abortions. I don't hate somebody for having one. I mean, I understand that happens, but I think they should be illegal. I think that should be outlawed. For me, that's like one of my biggest, political ideologies is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the first right is life.
I got one more question for you. What do you think about a woman president?
I would love it. What is the woman with a not beautiful woman? And watch, it's going to happen. I predict it here. This is what they're going to do. And like I said, let me put on my tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist because I love Sam Tripoli. I'm a conspiracy theorist, a good friend of mine. I'm the same wavelength. Dude, they're going to do a humiliation ritual with Joe Biden. They're going to say either that Hunter Biden, some more stuff gets leaked out and that he needs to step down because they're so embarrassed. Wow. Or he's just going to say, I have dementia. Or they're going to say, oh, you have too many of those classified documents. And what they're going to do is they're going to put in Kamala Harris because Kamala Harris is exactly what the New World Order wants. She's multicultural. She's a woman. She checks every single box. Joe Biden is an establishment white guy, the opposite of what the liberal world order wants. So you put him in, then you make him go away, and then boom, now they have Kamala Harris. And then they can go back to Gavin Newsom. They can go back to, whatever status quo, but they will broken that metaphorical glass ceiling that they want to break. So
you know what I think? I think there should be no women president. I think men should lead the country. You know why? It says in the Bible. Can I read this in the Bible here?
Please.
It says in the Bible here, be subject to anyone, another out of reference for Christ, the Messiah, the anointed one. Wives, be submissive, and adapt yourself to yourself. Own husband as a service to the Lord. For the husband is head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church himself, the savior of his body. As the church is subject to the Christ, so let wives also be subject to everything that their husbands. Husbands, love their wives as Christ loves the church and give himself up for her. Amen, brother. There shouldn't be no women president. There should be men lead the country. We are men. We gotta lead this country. Amen to that.
Richie, just wait. Michelle Obama, who's a boy who they say has a penis. Have you ever heard that conspiracy that Michelle Obama is a wiener?
You know what? Yeah, I heard about that. There's also reptilians. There's also reptilians and aliens. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Well, I don't know about the aliens and reptilians. Even though I had David Icke on, what I do know is that there's a very good chance I think Michelle Obama could be president. Could you imagine? Even before a female president, you're going to get a transgender president. Right? Yeah. Your favorite.
All right, here we go. We got.
Hey, Alex, I want to ask you a quick question here. So if there were an invasion to happen in the United States, Russia or China, and if you had to pick, which would you be better okay with, Russia or China invading the U.S.? I mean, Russia is a little sexier, right? The women, right? No?
And there's actually a lot more Ukrainian strippers, they say, I swear, they do say there's an influx of Ukrainian strippers. I've heard that. But no, dude, listen, the United States military, which I respect every single man, woman in uniform, but they were in a 20-year war in the Middle East versus the Taliban. And all the Taliban had were Toyota 4Runners and Toyota Land Cruisers and some old weapons from Russia. And they're able to defeat the most powerful military in the world. After 20 years, we left billions of dollars of military equipment there. We left there in a total embarrassment. So, and we haven't really won a war since, you would say, World War II, Vietnam we lost. World War III. Oh, I think they want to have one very bad. Yeah, because NATO. See, this is the problem. Oh, it's not for America. It's called globalism, Richie. There's an idea of a collection of countries that are making this decision. When you look at NATO, this whole entire conflict between Russia and Ukraine could have been avoided if they just would have said that people in the Donbass region, the border region, where they could stay autonomous. They wanted to be considered Russian. They didn't want to be considered Ukrainian. And then all Ukraine had to do is not join NATO. But instead, they want to join NATO. So because of this, we are basically twisting their arm. And it's very simple. The world is not being run by human beings. It's being run by corporations. It's being run by the military.
Come back, bro.
Well, and Antichrist for sure.
They're crazy. We gotta shut those guys down, bro.
No, we're screwed,
Mark,
dude.
Here we go, here.
Yeah, well, on that thread, so I'm going to go into the politics a little bit of what you were just discussing, because number one, I think a lot of the stuff, now I think the outside observer might look at you and go, obviously, this guy is a straight up conservative. Now, I'm savvy enough to know, like, yes, you're doing some pranks that might target liberal politicians. However, when I hear you discuss things, you sound like a heterodox political, somebody with a heterodox political ideology. And one of the things I found online was that you actually support socialized healthcare.
Yeah, for sure. Because, dude, we need to make affordable health. Dude, our healthcare system is such a scam. And insulin in Texas is $250. That same insulin in Mexico is $7. So we need to actually, that's what I'm saying. We need to put some sort of medical caps. I'm not saying it should necessarily be free, but we should get the government involved. We can give us 1 million COVID vaccines, but you're telling me you can't give a fat person diabetes medicine. And I'm not saying we shouldn't take care of our health. I hate medication. I hate doctors. I hate it all. I mean, I know we need them, but like I said, I don't really quote unquote trust a lot of their science. These people are not as smart as they say. And I think the pandemic proved. So for me, it's like there's people, and this, Mark, in California, that are afraid to call an ambulance to go to the hospital. I know I had a friend that called an Uber because they don't want to spend $3,000 on an ambulance bill. So I'm just saying stuff like that should be normal. That should be, if anything's going to be subsidized, that should be, but not $400,000 Tomahawk missiles that they're using to shoot balloons that they missed. Yeah. Not bullets. They have, Tupac said it, they got endless money for wars, but they don't have money to feed the poor. It's like, dude, I want to feed the poor. I literally want to help homeless military veterans. I want to literally help the people at our border by giving them whatever supplies they need in their country, so they're not coming here and being sex trafficked and drug trafficked.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And that also, so when I'm hearing those answers paired together, again, coming from a guy who has at least, some conservative beliefs, that tells me that you think about these individual issues from a moralistic perspective. Because when I think about my preference for if not socialized medicine, something that does a much better job than we have right now. And that's one of the reasons I actually had a falling out with a lot of my friends in 2016, because they're going on and on about Hillary Clinton. And I'd be like, hey, like, so what policy do you like about her? Or what do you think about the fact that she tried to ruin the lives of, Bill Clinton's sexual assault accusers? And people did not have any cogent answers to that. So I ended up getting in these debates with people where it escalated to personal insult and all that, because I don't think people often think about, like, ask themselves issue to issue, what's the morally right thing to do? And I've changed my mind over the years, for example, on gun control, stuff like that. I used to be very anti-gun, and then you kind of learn more about it and you realize, oh, I was just ignorant about this thing. But a knee-jerk reaction to socialized medicine for a lot of conservatives is like, oh my God, that's stupid, it's communism. And you're looking at it like, hey, it's not right how we treat sick people in this country.
Yeah, are you kidding? They can't afford any of their treatments. And the medical industrial complex, all they do is they benefit. Pfizer, Moderna, their stocks are going through the roof. Listen, I'm a capitalist, but if we're going to put caps, if we're going to control anything, if we're going to stop anything, they care more, literally, about pharmaceutical industrial complex making money than they care about actually our oil and gas industry, which would lift up Texas. Right now, when Trump was president, there's a place called Midland, which is in West Texas, where there was people that were landmen that just worked on a rig that were driving Lamborghinis and Ferraris, because we had so much deregulation where we could actually get oil and gas out of the ground. But now, because Joe Biden, what they're doing is they're actually putting a gun to our foot and shooting it, because now our country is producing a lot less oil and gas, and now we're dependent on other countries, which once again takes money that we could be spending on helping our citizens, and now we're wasting it by buying oil through Saudi Arabia and all this.
And isn't that so?
Makes sense.
We can be apparently energy independent, right?
Enough energy in Texas alone to supply the whole world. No, literally, they have enough in Alaska for the whole world. Mark, this is not a conspiracy. They even say we have enough, not just in America. They say we have enough in Pennsylvania for the whole world. But it's all about getting it out of the ground. It's all about refining it. That's why they have the refineries on the ocean. But Joe Biden's not letting more people get more offshore oil rigs. So, dude, we have a government that wants make America purposefully weak, or on purpose, they want to make us weak so that they can gain more global power. It sounds crazy, but when you really look at these corporations and you look at like Apple computers, I talk about this all the time, and Joe Rogan is actually where I learned this, is that they, in Shandong, China, at their Foxconn factories, the conditions are so bad because they make their employees work there. And this is Apple, the iPhone, the phone that everybody has, the most powerful. I mean, they got more money than they could ever spend. Their conditions are so poor for their workers, they have nets, because they have suicide nets because so many people are killing themselves. But instead of paying their workers a higher wage or giving them better living conditions, they just build bigger nets. That's the problem. I'm serious. I mean, until Americans or humans can actually be in control again, we're never going to have a fair country. It's always going to be, and they're going to say it's fair, but it never will be. Yeah.
And as a populist, I think China's kind of pivotal to, I believe it was the 1970s when we started, allowing, these businesses to outsource the manufacturing to China. And that was like a pivotal moment in America, right? Where like you're choosing the globalist corporate agenda, you might say, over nationalist economic message. And I think that's been buildings like the reason that Trump came to power and Bernie Sanders almost did is because they have this populist message that's like, no. Fuck the corporations and their interests, but you forget, and we're like any news outlet you go to, you forget that they have these corporate blind spots because they're funded by corporate. So you're never going to hear any critique of corporations.
Right. And you nailed it. I am a populist. Like that's the first and foremost. It's like, it's not just necessarily what I want, but I think it's what's best for society. But I mean, we're fighting a beast that is just, for me, I have very little hope, because you talk about America and what we produce. Literally, we were built on the Industrial Revolution, our factories, building stuff, Ford, all these great brands. And now the only thing that we produce, other than like culture, like hip hop and actors, and now movies and television sucks, but are bombs, literally weapons. Like that's the only thing America produces anymore. So that's why we love endless wars. So until we go back to producing stuff, making stuff, we're really just going to have a sad society of just a country that we produce nothing, we rely on everybody. And I think it's going to get so dark. Like Richie, you're saying, like, I think it will be so satanic, or I believe the transhumanist agenda will happen. Richie, will they say they want to plug?
I'm back, baby.
No, I'm saying, I believe they're going to plug us into a computer so we can live forever, Richie. That's what they're going to do very soon.
I believe in Jesus Christ, our Savior. I'm going to heaven, baby. Amen to that.
We've been on for 30 minutes. I want to do a better, longer form podcast, but I want to do it on my show. So I'm going to, So that's what I'm saying. So Mark, I'm gonna get you guys contact, and we'll schedule it for like probably not this next week, but the first week of April, if that's cool with y'all.
I love you, bro.
Sounds great.
Whatever you want, man. I'm on your side, bro.
And Mark, send me that content, and then what? Anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, one last thing. Hold on one sec.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah. So
and tell Mark I got to talk to Mark. I'm saying that before I go, but Mark, I want to interview Mark for sure.
Yes. And anytime you want to come to LA, we'll fly you out. We will fly you out.
In the bank, I can come out there. I can afford to. That's so nice.
It's not. It's because we care about you, and we're your friend.
We love you, bro.
Okay.
On the beach with Mark, like I want to go do some crazy stuff and like go film some stuff. Not even necessarily pranks. Just talking to some people and messing around with some people. I want to go there and do some content. I really want to go visit some California politicians. There's some ones out there that I need to go see. So especially I'm good friends with the mayor of Malibu as well. So I need to go out there and cause a disturbance. So maybe next, I think I'm going to go. I don't know when I'm going to California next. I think in April, but I know I'm going to San Francisco in 2 weeks, but that's not anywhere near y'all.
Well, I mean, we can figure something out. We'll make something work. We'll put Mark on a train or on a plane.
Yes. Hey, okay. Yeah. No, we're gonna make it work. And okay, let me say goodbye to Mark because I gotta go freaking get back to my show. And I want to tell you, I'll send you the recording so you can download it. And Mark, I'm gonna record the clip of you and I talking about Brendan, and I'm gonna send it to TFA TK real quick. That guy to post it.
Nice.
That guy's awesome.
And let's definitely talk over. I know we've been talking on IG, but
I'm gonna send you my number.
I'm so excited to get more content on the beach or whatever. Go on your show.
That's what I'm saying. No, but and I'll also fly you out here. I want to get you like for a sit down interview. We'll do that.
Awesome.
I'm telling you, that's no problem. We have a budget.
Yeah.
So and we'll get like a bunch of content. You'll come here. We'll stay like 2 nights, and you'll come on the show. We'll do like an hour-long sit down, then we'll film a bunch of crap. So I'll send you my number. You guys rock. I gotta go. It's 2:05. I gotta get to freaking work. But
all right, man.
Nice and Richie. You guys rock.
We'll be in touch soon. Thanks.
Talk to y'all guys soon. Peace.